Okay, my friends, I'm back with chapter 29, The Bell. We work our way down the wooded slope to the curving shoreline. Delphi drops her walking stick and backpack. She keeps going, right into the water, and doesn't stop until she's waist high. "You have to do it, Sam," she says, waving me to join her. "It's amazing." I cast a wary eye for water snakes, but they like muddy bottoms and weeds, and this is clear and sandy, too inviting to resist. I don't go in as deep as Delphi, not being as tall, but after days on the run and the constant heat, the cool, clean water is like heaven. I bend my knees and sink down, holding my breath as my head goes under. Amazing is right. I come up, spouting. Delphi smooths the wet hair out of her eyes. "Where's the camp?" she asks. "Which way?" I close my eyes and picture what I saw from the top of the tree. "That way," I point. "Somewhere along this shore." "Is it far?" "I don't know. A few miles, maybe less." We sog out of the water. I start to shake myself dry, and Delphi goes, "Hey, wait, my beach towel." Sorry. She pulls it out of the backpack and tosses it to me. "You first." I rub down fast and hand it back. Not what I had in mind when I thought I was going for a midnight swim. Delphi, drying her hair, sounds almost cheerful. "Jason Dean, you don't know what you missed." Should I tell her that Jason Dean doesn't exist? No, I don't want to hurt her feelings. She's smart. She'll figure it out. We have to do that sometimes, don't we? When we have friends and we have, we know something, or we hear somebody else talk about a friend, and we have to decide, do we tell our friend those things, or is it better for them to not hear it? And so sometimes we have to judge. So Sam is thinking that, she'll figure it out on her own. So rather than hurt her right now, I'm just going to let it go. And that's probably the right decision at that point. I take off my shoes, dry them on the grass, and put them back on. Soggy, but tolerable. The only bad thing is the mosquitoes. But Delphi is in such a good mood. Getting bit doesn't seem to bother her. "Take a sip, everybody." She holds her arms out to the bugs. "Come one, come all." You're crazy. Crazy happy. There's a difference. We prepare ourselves for a long hike, but the camp is much closer than I thought. Around the next bend, we come upon a curving notch of shoreline with a white sandy beach and volleyball courts. Back from the lake is a big white shingled building with two huge stone chimneys, one on each end. Along the edge of the lake are a dozen or so small buildings, similar to the cabins at Camp Wabnaki. "Hello?" I shout. "Anybody home?" Silence, as to be expected. The place was evacuated. We work our way around the main building, still shouting in case somebody stayed behind, and locate the entrance, which has a big banner strung across the porch roof. "Marble Lake Survival Skills Camp. Building strength, character, and endurance." Delphi shakes her head, laughing. "Just my luck. A survival camp. They probably eat nuts and berries." There's a dining hall inside. I'm peering through the windows. "Check it out. Maybe you can find a phone. I'll look for a road." "You want me to do the breaking and entering? Is that it?" She sounds amused. I try the latch. No braking required. I swing open the unlocked door for her and turn to go. As I head out to look for a road, she cautions me. Be careful. Always. I won't be long. A neatly landscaped gravel drive runs off into the woods, heading uphill. Could be several miles to a paved road, but I want to get some idea of what we're up against. It's really great we found a camp, which means shelter and water and probably food, even if it is nuts and berries. But there's a tinge of smoke in the air, and we can't be that many miles from the spreading lightning fire, or for that matter, from the main fire lying behind it. So the camp is temporary shelter at best. I start out jogging along the gravel road, hoping I can find some gasoline in the camp and a way to get the Jeep down from the logging trail. The lawns are mowed, so they must have power mowers, right? Unless survival camp means push mowers, which is possible. No, don't think that way. Be positive. One thing at a time. See where the gravel road goes, then worry about the Jeep. I jog uphill for a mile or so in the crushing heat, sweat pouring into my eyes, until I get this pain in my side that feels like a knife shoved into my ribs. I rest for a bit, bent over and panting, and the pain eases. Okay, so I'm not exactly a track star, and I'm thinking maybe I don't want to get too far along the gravel roadway, not just yet. What if I get cut off by the fire, Delphi on one side of the flames and me on the other? It's when I turn to go back that I notice the sign. Must have missed it with my eyes full of sweat. A little arrow-shaped sign nailed to a tree. Hand-painted, but easy to read. SR 12B, 7.2 miles. State Road 12B. No clue as to where it might lead, but chances are it will be a real paved road. It has to go somewhere that's populated, or the state wouldn't bother building a road, right? Somewhere with people, that's all that matters. I'm walking briskly when a bell begins to ring, like the shimmering bong of a church bell. But that can't be it. Maybe it's an emergency signal. Maybe Delphi's in trouble. I start running. Chapter 30, In Case of Fire. Turns out to be a dinner bell, not an emergency signal. Delphi noticed the rope hanging in a corner of the dining hall and rang the bell to let me know there's enough food in the pantry to last a year at least. 10 kinds of cereal, 5 kinds of cookies, canned goods galore in big restaurant cans. Oh, there goes my phone. You know how that likes to ring while I read. We're just going to ignore it. Flour and cornmeal, at least 5 dozen eggs, and baking powder and tons of ingredients to make stuff. No electricity. I don't think this place has any. Where was I? But the stoves and a refrigerator run on propane. And they have a huge tank of propane out back, so we're good there. Fridges packed with gallon jugs of milk and at least 10 pounds of butter, trays of Jell-O, blocks of processed cheese. All that, but no phone. She shakes her head and sighs. We're out in the middle of nowhere. No landline. And like I said, no electricity. The lamps use oil, I think. They're not kidding about being into survival. We're in the dining hall, which looks like it could seat 50 or so easy, with a soaring cathedral roof made out of hand-carved wood beams and very cool stone fireplaces on opposite walls, and a view of the long, narrow lake that shoots out from a beach like a blue arrow aimed at the horizon. It's a grand room, way better than the dining area at Camp Wabanaki, and a bit cooler than outside. My guess, the camp caters to out-of-state families with kids who need a little toughening up or who want an adventure. Cold water showers, Delphi already checked, and lots of activities like hiking, climbing, and learning to live off the land. So Delphi had it right when she said nuts and berries. Not that anybody is going hungry, not when they're eating in this dining hall, that's for sure. But the no electricity setup makes me wonder. Because summer camps have to be able to alert the authorities or call for an ambulance. At this location, probably by air, if one of the kids gets seriously ill or injured, right? When I mention this to Delphi, she goes, "Cell phones? Maybe," I say. Ha ha. Oh, I skipped a part. Maybe, I say, but way out here, where are the cell towers? Smoke signals? That makes me grin. Ha ha. I'm thinking maybe some kind of two-way emergency radio? The kind you can talk on? Maybe a police radio kind of deal? They knew enough to evacuate, right? That makes sense. Okay. If it was you in charge, where would you keep the emergency radio? She thinks about it. The office? I saw a room that could be the office out by the main entrance. She leads me to it, and I agree. This has to be the camp office. A wooden desk and a big swivel chair, several filing cabinets, and knotty pine walls plastered with photographs of kids on survival trips. Whitewater rafting, canoe portaging, rock climbing with helmets and harnesses, and complicated-looking ropes. The kids look happy to be working so hard. Most are pumping fists in the air. There's a good-sized map pinned to a corkboard. Marvel Lake Survival Skills Camp is marked on the map with a red star, and it shows the access road connecting to the state road, just like the sign said. It also shows we're about as far to the north and west as you can get and still be in Maine. I point to the star and say, that's why the only station we can pick up is WRPZ. We're pretty much in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by mountains. Mountains that are burning, Delphi reminds me. Tinder dry forests, wildfires. I'd rather not think about it, but there's no getting away from the fact that a clock is ticking. We have to find a way to get rescued or rescue ourselves before the fire finds us. We search everywhere. The shelves are packed with books about birds and wildlife, but there's no sign of a two-way police radio. Delphi opens all the desk drawers. No electronics. But she finds an instruction manual for a satellite phone. I slump into the swivel chair, exasperated. That's a good word, isn't it? It's like you're just like, had enough. You're exacerbated. That's how they make contact. A satellite phone. Probably took it with them when they evacuated. Definitely. Delphi looks as disappointed as I feel. It's okay. I'm trying to sound upbeat. Back to plan A. We're only 7 miles from a paved road. If I can find some gas and a way to get the Jeep over to the gravel road, we can be back to civilization in an hour. She brightens. Seriously? If you can't find any gas, I can walk 7 miles if I have to. I don't care how much it hurts if it will get us home. Let's find some gas. Hiking 7 miles on a sprained ankle is a bad idea. What if the fire catches up and crosses the gravel road before we get there? No way to outrace a fire on foot. If it comes to that, we might be better off staying right where we are. In case of fire, jump in the lake and hope the smoke doesn't kill us. Where do we start? She asks. With fuel of our own. Did you say there are 5 kinds of cookies? Also fuel to get them in their bellies. After eating cookies plus a couple of pre-made salami sandwiches we find in the big refrigerators, Delphi even locates some ballpark mustard. I swear it's the best sandwich I've ever had in my life. It's down to business. The search for gasoline, which we absolutely need to make an escape. When I ask her to take it easy and rest her ankle, Delphi gives me an "Are you crazy?" look, props herself on her stick and swings down the steps onto the lawn. You take that side, I'll take this one, she says. We're looking for sheds and storage areas, right? And lawnmowers and chainsaws and weed whackers, like that. They all need gas. I remember seeing some storage units next to one of the cabins. Before heading to check it out, I study the horizon to the east. Beyond the far end of the lake, I study the horizon to the east, beyond the far end of the lake. I don't want Delphi to worry about it too much, but for the last hour or so, gray clouds have been edging up over the horizon. Are they storm clouds or distant smoke? Rain or fire? Can't be sure one way or the other. Whatever they are, they seem to be slowly creeping closer. Alrighty. See you for the next 2 chapters.